Hi everyone! Welcome back to my channel. My name is Chantel and life is short. Thanks for taking the time out of yours to watch this video. Okay, I don't want to sound like one of those YouTubers because I'm not one yet. Maybe soon, I don't know. But I got a lot of messages to talk about this subject. I'm just gonna jump right into it. I will be talking a little bit about my experience specifically with Korea, specifically with my university, and then kind of just overall information that you might need to know if you want to go abroad. I will say that you have to do a lot of extra work besides the semester that you're already in school. And what I went through might be different from what you will go through because every university is different. Every school will have an international office. So this means that they are in charge of inbound students from other countries who will do their degree or master's or whatever program at your university. The university that I am at, or you will be at, or I was at, will be called your home university. And then the university that you will be going to abroad will be called your host university. Every year or every semester, your international office will host a fair which showcases what they have to offer to students. I did the exchange program and I only went for one semester. There is the option to go for a full year. Some students even go for the semester, and while they are in the country that they're abroad in, they have the choice to extend if they would like to. Now, every school will have partnerships with different schools all over the world. So for my school in particular, we had partnerships with international schools in other countries. So for example, when I went to Korea, I went to the international school in Korea. Your school will also have a set amount of countries and schools that they have partnerships with, and depending on your program, that is your selection of what schools you can go to. So for example, let's just say my university had 30 schools all over the world that they had partnerships with. In my program, there were only 10 schools that were available to me. The reason they do this is because they want you to be able to take credits back home and let it go towards your degree or just gain credits in general. They do this by making sure that your syllabus matches the syllabus of the school that they offer for you. So there's a little bit of backstory to how I chose to go to Korea. I actually applied the year before and my application got denied. And yes, that can happen, but don't give up hope. My first choice was actually Japan. However, I had a friend who went to Japan the semester before I did, and he personally just didn't have a good time there. Nothing against the school or nothing against the country, it's just he actually experienced Korea the semester before and he liked it better, and because we were friends, he knew that I would enjoy Korea much more. What do? You have to apply at your university. Every university will have a different process for how they send students abroad, and it's usually a checklist in order to apply. In my case, my university asked me to have an essay or what's called a letter of intent to kind of just explain why you deserve to go and why you want to go. You also have to complete a certain amount of credits at the university that you are at in order to go abroad. I had to have at least 12 credits. And in my university, each class is 3 credits. So I had to have 4 classes done, which is usually just a semester. Also have to have a copy of your official transcripts and then a program approval. So what the program approval is you're actually going to be in contact with your either program advisor or maybe even the dean of your program. And they kind of just look at your record of how you are as a student. So are you reliable? Are you getting good grades, and what courses that you need to finish or that you can do while you're abroad. So that's how you kind of choose classes. People were also asking what classes I did. I did electives. In your international office, there will be advisors that you will make multiple trips to their offices to see them, so they can help you along the process of the application. Your advisor will also have a list of classes that you can take based on your program and based on the school. And you have to coordinate with your abroad advisor and your program advisor to see which classes you can take abroad. Some universities will require you to have a specific GPA. Majority of the time, it is a GPA that's quite easy to fulfill. Reason for this is because they just want you to be a good ambassador of your school and of your country, because they don't want to send you abroad and then you're failing all your courses. It just looks bad to the professors abroad that you aren't taking your education seriously. So after the application process, there is a deadline. Once you hit that deadline, a couple months or a couple weeks later, the international office will contact you and they'll contact you for an interview. So your interview is kind of part of the application process. It's basically similar to just like a job interview, but they just kind of ask you like, why do you want to go? How would you deal with certain situations, and kind of how you think the experience will challenge or change you for the better, and how it can be a good asset to your resume and career. So luckily, the second time around, I was accepted to go to Korea. After that, they actually hold workshops for the people that they send abroad. And in the workshops, they kind of just prepare you for life away from home, and they inform you about the different expectations away from the North American education system. Also includes something that's kind of like therapy, like mental health training, because a lot of the time, if it's your first time abroad, they don't want you to be too in shock, so they'll teach you things about like journaling, how to get out of a funk, how to deal with homesickness. Once your application is accepted at your home university, you still have to apply at your host university. However, most students are already accepted or will easily be accepted because the screening process really prepares you for their application process. And their application process, it's the same thing. They'll have a checklist of things that they want you to submit in order to be accepted. So just for you to get an idea, they will ask you for things like a form for the dormitories if you want to stay in one. And they may have you write another essay or a study plan. To be honest, it's really easy to do. It was only 3 pages double spaced, so that's like 1.5 pages if you think about it. They might ask you to get medical tests done or medical notes and things like that. So I had to do that as well because I have asthma and allergies. So it's kind of just like a safety and precaution thing. So once you apply at your host university and you are accepted, they will send your university or your international office specific forms in order for you to get your visa. But after all that, you still have to apply once more with your proof that you have your visa in order for them to fully accept you as a student. At the same time, you will be in contact with the international office at your host university. So if you have any other questions, you can literally just email them and they'll answer you pretty quickly, actually. Many people were asking if you need a visa. Yes, most countries do. I think all the schools that my university had partnerships with, they all needed you to have a visa. You can literally just search it online. It's called a student visa, and it will be different for every country. So for the visa, you will need to find out where the consulate general or the embassy of the country you're going to, where that is in your city or in your country. Korea's embassy in Canada is all the way in Ontario, and for me, that's the opposite side of the country. So I couldn't go there. And then the consulate general was actually in British Columbia, which is a province beside mine. So I decided to go through that. You usually can do a visa through mail, but that requires you sending your passport through mail. And I was just uncomfortable with that. But also at the same time that I got my visa, there was something going on with Canada Post. I think workers were on strike or they were being laid off. So mail actually took a really long time. So I decided to actually physically go to British Columbia. I took a road trip with my best guy friends, my bros, and I went to the consulate general's office and I applied for my visa. I had all the required documents, and then they kind of review it and then they take all of your stuff. It was really quick. It was actually 7 to 10 days and my visa got approved, which was great, and it came back to me through the mail. So just on my passport, it shows that I'm a student. I have a student visa. The application process for a visa is actually quite simple, but to give you an idea, these are the things that I needed for Korea. They'll have just a basic application form that you have to fill out, like your personal information, your emergency contact, things like that. They'll ask you for a proof of enrollment from the host university, and once again, like I said before, the host university will usually send this to your your international office, and your abroad advisor will give that to you. And along with the proof of enrollment from your host university, you might need one from your home university, and then you need an acceptance letter. They also asked for copies of my passport. You might get a lot of anxiety because of the amount of deadlines. So just to break it down again, I had to apply at my home university and go through the application process and get accepted and go through the interview. And then after that, I had to apply at my host university. They had to accept me and send me back documents. After I got those documents, I had to sign up for my visa. I got the visa, and then lastly, I had to apply one more time to show them that I had all the required documents. And that was it. And it was very stressful because I started this application process probably in February, and I went in the fall semester, so in September. Honestly, I got my visa in July, and then I got my full acceptance that I was for sure going in August. Now, the question that I get the most, how the heck did I afford it? I know what you guys are thinking. I can't be an international student, I'm too broke. You know what? I get it. That was me. But hold on to your horses. I'm about to teach you something. What a lot of people don't know is that the government gives every university money for its international students or international offices and programs. What that means is there are a ton of scholarships and bursaries available for you out there. Every university will be different, every city might be different, every province might be different, every country might be different, like I said at the beginning of this video. But depending on how many students go abroad, that is how much money you will get. The semester before me, there was only, let's say, 30 people who went. They got $4,000. But my semester, because a lot of people heard about the scholarships and bursaries, a lot of people went the same semester I did. And so I only got just over $2,000. But at the same time, you guys, that is a lot of money. Just free money. You know what? You want to be an international student or exchange student? Here's free money. You know, because you're contributing to global communications, business, partnerships, world peace. Additionally, the host university or the host country that you have, they also have scholarships and bursaries for international students. Some of the scholarships and bursaries out there, you'll probably have to dig and try to find them and apply for them, but a lot of the time as well, your abroad advisors will be aware of them, and they will usually send you the application website and or link. And it's a good thing to add to your resume going abroad. So you're welcome. Luckily, I was introduced by my abroad advisor to the Korean government scholarship. I think there was honestly like a set amount of students that could get it in all of Canada, and I was one of them. The Korean government was also like, hey, you're interested in our culture, in our country? Let's be friends with your country. So here's some money. That's what they did. They gave me money. You guys probably saw it in my other videos. My end of the bargain was to do a volunteer library service for little Korean kids, and we had to do presentations on our country in our own language to just, you know, teach them about other countries in the world. So the great thing about this scholarship is they actually let me choose my own flight, my own airlines when I arrived in Korea. I chose to take Korean Air because I have taken them before and I love them, and I also took WestJet. I also decided to come about 3 to 4 days before school started to get used to the time change and kind of get rid of that like tiredness of jet lag. And so what they did for me was they actually paid for my flight there and back, which was about $1,200 to $1,300. And then they gave me monthly allowance of like 200 to 300 Canadian dollars as well. And that was very useful. I used that for like groceries. I used that for tickets to like touristy places because some of them have fees. I even used it to go to Busan across the country in Korea. There was no questions asked. You could use the money for whatever you want, but majority of the time, they know you're probably gonna be using it to experience their country. I worked my butt off at my part-time job to get enough money for the schools to let me go, but I didn't even touch any of the money that I saved up because I had all this money from my university, Korea's university, and Korea's government. All in all, literally the only thing I had to pay for was my tuition. And I would have paid for that anyways if I was here at home. I paid my tuition. When you go abroad, what do you think you need paid for? Your housing, your flight, and your everyday expenses. But what do you know? My dorm was paid for by the bursary that my home university gave me. My flight was paid for by the Korean government, and then I got monthly allowance from the Korean government. So I could have splurged a lot, but I just didn't because everything in Korea is actually quite cheap and affordable. You also don't have to stay in the dorms, you have the option to. A lot of people stayed in Airbnbs, or I forgot what they're called, but there's a specific name for these buildings that are kind of like condo apartments, and couples and families kind of own the whole building, and then they have just literally all students just staying in their building, and it's the same thing as a dorm. It's literally a room with a bed, shower, washroom, and a washer for your laundry. However, for the scholarships, I'm not entirely sure if they will cover if you go to an Airbnb. Okay, I hope I covered everything. I hope it made sense. If you have any other questions, specific questions, again, you guys know how YouTube works. You can just put them down in the comments, or you can DM me privately and I'll try to answer you the best as I can. Once again, this is just the experience that I went through and the process that I went through. It's a little bit of a guide for you students. I know that this might be irrelevant at the moment because of COVID-19. I'm not sure if exchange abroad or education abroad is a thing, but I hope any of you will be influenced by this video and you get to go. I hope you tell me about your experience, and feel free to share this video. If you or anybody you know wants to go abroad, just send them this video and hopefully it will answer some of their questions. Again, you can always just talk to the international office at your university and hopefully you can figure it out. There's also other programs out there that you can do to go abroad. Like, you don't have to go through the university like I did. There's another program called the JET program. Just search it on Google. I'm pretty sure it's a Canadian thing, and I'm pretty sure it's only for people to go to Japan. But basically, that is also an experience for you to teach English or teach North American culture to Japan students. I think that's it. So hope you guys enjoyed the video. We'll see you guys in the next one.